This is the moment that broke him. Not the misfire. Not the wrong oil. Not the fuse the size of a thumbnail. Not the months of late nights, the diagnostic rabbit holes, the phone calls to specialists who had never seen a problem quite like this one. None of that broke Matt Armstrong. What broke him was a fuel pump control module. A component nobody had touched. A component connected to none of the previous repairs. A component that chose to fail at the exact worst second possible, not before the drive, not after, but right there on the runway with the speed key inserted, the rear wing flattened, the helmet on, and 253 miles per hour within reach. But to understand why that moment hit so hard, you need to understand everything that came before it. When Matt first acquired this Bugatti Veyron, it was not the million-pound hypercar the badge promised. It was a broken, neglected machine that had been sitting long enough to develop problems in places most mechanics don't even think to look. The journey to get it running, truly running, not just moving under its own power but functioning as Bugatti intended, took months of relentless work, creative problem-solving, and a stubbornness that most people would have abandoned long ago. The goal was always the same: reach a runway, insert the speed key, activate top speed mode, and push the Veyron to the limit it was designed for. 253 miles per hour. The number that defines what this car is. Everything else was just preparation. In the weeks leading up to runway day, Matt focused on presentation as much as performance. The white wrap that had covered the car came off first. Underneath, a combination of light blue and dark blue paint emerged, functional, but not exactly right for a car of this stature. So Matt made a decision. The doors, wings, mirror caps, and side blades were wrapped in satin metallic silver. The roof, bumpers, and engine cover stayed dark blue. The result was genuinely striking. Silver and dark blue. Chrome accents throughout. A completely transformed car that finally looked like what it was always supposed to be. Not just a project. A Bugatti. The rear bumper came back from the body shop fully restored. The carbon splitter, previously damaged, had been repaired, reinforced, and refinished to factory standards by exclusive composites. New Vossen wheels replaced the old black rims. New brake ducts were fitted. For the first time since Matt bought it, the Veyron looked the part. But looking fast and going 253 miles per hour are two very different things. To access the Veyron's maximum speed, you need what Bugatti calls a speed key, a separate key that activates top speed mode, lowering the car's ride height and flattening the rear wing for optimum aerodynamic efficiency. Without it, the car is electronically limited. Replacing one through official Bugatti channels can cost well over $10,000. Matt investigated, and what he found was surprising. Inside the speed key slot, there was no transponder reader, no chip detection, no electronic authentication of any kind. As Matt described it, it's basically just a slot. So he took his original key to a locksmith, had the blade pattern scanned, and a duplicate was cut. When they tried it in the car, top speed mode activated without hesitation. A feature most people assumed required a highly exclusive, specially programmed Bugatti key turned out to work with a copied blade that likely cost less than a takeaway. Another piece of Bugatti mythology, quietly dismantled in a locksmith's car park. But even with the key sorted, getting to the runway required solving problem after problem. First came a cylinder 16 misfire. After hours of investigation, the cause was almost insultingly simple. A coil pack that hadn't been fully seated onto the spark plug. Not a failed component. Not a major repair. Just a connector that needed pushing home. Then the indicators stopped working. Matt traced the fault through fuse box after fuse box before finding the culprit, a single 5-amp fuse. One tiny fuse had disabled the entire indicator system on a $2 million car. Then came the front differential oil. A replacement arrived with German labeling, the wrong specification was accidentally used, and everything had to be drained and refilled from scratch before the car could safely continue. Then there was the tire pressure monitoring system, arguably the strangest obstacle of all. For top speed mode to activate, the Veyron cannot have any active fault codes showing on the dashboard. The new Vossen wheels had aftermarket TPMS sensors fitted, and relearning those sensors to the car system is, on a Veyron, a procedure that officially only a handful of authorized Bugatti dealers can perform. Through persistence, research, and a significant amount of determination, Matt got it working anyway. And finally, the accumulators, critical hydraulic components that manage gearbox pressure during gear changes. One of them was barely holding. A replacement unit arrived from Falangers, but pairing it with one of the original failing accumulators meant heading to the runway with one healthy component and one that was already compromised. That was the situation. That was the car. On the morning of runway day, Matt drove the Veyron 150 miles to Dunsfold Aerodrome. 150 miles. No warning lights. No fault codes. No drama. The car was, by every measure, perfect. He arrived. The runway was still slightly damp from earlier weather, so he waited. The sun did its work. Slowly the track dried. The window was opening. Matt climbed in, closed the door, and checked the dashboard. Every system was green. He inserted the duplicate speed key, turned it, and felt the car lower itself as the rear wing folded flat. Top speed mode. Active. The first run was a shakedown, not a full attempt, just a chance to feel the car at speed, test the braking points, build confidence. The Veyron behaved beautifully. Everything felt right. Everything felt ready. He reached the end of the runway, turned around, and lined up for the real attempt. And then the car died. Completely, without warning, without any hint that anything was wrong. The same car that had just completed a 150-mile drive. The same car that had handled the shakedown run without issue. The same car that, by every indication available to Matt, was ready. Just stopped. The diagnostic scanner returned a single fault: fuel pump control module. No communication. No signal. A component entirely unrelated to anything Matt had worked on. A component that had given no indication it was about to fail. A component that, on any other day, in any other moment, would have been a manageable problem. Fix it, come back, try again. But this wasn't any other day. This was the day. That's what makes it so painful to watch. It wasn't a flaw in Matt's preparation. It wasn't a mistake in the build. It wasn't something he could have seen coming or worked around. Every single piece of the puzzle had come together. The wrap was done. The wheels were on. The speed key worked. The TPMS was sorted. The accumulators were holding. The weather had cooperated. The runway had dried. And then a component that had nothing to do with any of it chose that exact moment to fail. Matt said something after it happened that stayed with me. Everything that happened to this car when I bought it made me want to like it. And everything that's happening to it makes me dislike it. You can hear the exhaustion in that. This isn't the frustration of someone who expected things to be easy. This is the exhaustion of someone who did everything right, who stayed up until 4 in the morning solving problems just to be ready for the next day, who drove 150 miles on a car with compromised hydraulics because he believed in what he was trying to do, and who then watched the finish line evaporate when he was standing right in front of it. I've followed Matt Armstrong through a lot of projects. I've watched him laugh through disasters, stay positive when builds looked impossible, find creative solutions to problems that seemed like dead ends. That's who he is. But at the end of that runway, he looked different. Not frustrated. Not annoyed. Genuinely defeated. And that was hard to watch. Here's the thing: Matt Armstrong has never let a setback be the end of a story. Not once. Every time this Veyron has pushed back, and it has pushed back hard repeatedly, he has found a way through. The misfire, the fuse, the oil, the TPMs, the accumulators, none of them stopped him. This won't either. The runway is still there. The speed key still works. The car, beneath that failed module, is still capable of what Matt has been building toward. The work isn't wasted. The story isn't finished. The Veyron isn't done with Matt Armstrong yet. And I don't think Matt Armstrong is done with the Veyron. Stay subscribed. Because when that run finally happens, and it will happen, you are going to want to be here for it.